Alrighty, we got the inside scoop on Capcom Cup Fiasco from your boy Brian F. Clips. Okay, what's going on with Capcom Cup?
All right, somehow I got the inside scoop regarding Capcom Cup. So,
Ooh,
if you're out of the loop and don't know what's going on,
I'm out of the
the
loop.
entire world is pissed at Capcom and the Street Fighter devs because someone had the wise decision to charge $40 for pay-per-view for the Capcom Cup Finals. It's about $27 individually for the Capcom Cup Top 16.
Let's see, the Capcom Cup begins. Tickets for the thing drop October 10th. Right now it's the 11th as I'm watching this. Starting this season, Capcom Cup 12 Finals. Blah, blah, blah. March 15th. March 14th, we'll stream pay-per-view. Free replays will drop March 21st and 22nd. So if you want to see it then and there, it's $40. After that, you gotta wait about a week, and then they'll be everywhere else. Okay. Don't miss the action. Join us live. Blah blah blah. Okay. To me, there haven't been a lot of instances I can like recall where gaming tournaments that have done the whole pay-per-view thing. There's multiple reasons, but I mean, I just want to listen.
And then also another $27 for the Street Fighter League World Finals the next day. But all in all, if you want to watch the actual finale of Capcom Cup, if you do the bundle, it's going to cost you 6,000 yen or 40 USD. And basically, everybody's pissed. This is one of the most unanimously derided moves I've seen from the Capcom esports division ever. I've seen nothing but people pissed about this. You know, there's a lot of issues. We talked about this. We've been beating this topic to death for why this is probably a really bad decision. And now,
probably a really bad decision. So there's multiple things why this. It depends on like how you think about it. Why this is good or why this is bad. I mean, you're like, if I'm just like a regular gamer person, my knee-jerk response is, well, this sucks. Why do I gotta pay $40? That's ridiculous. But if you look at esports as a whole over the last like what 20, 25, 30 years, however long gaming's been out, for the most part, the tournaments have like for these things have been free. But if we want to compare that to heaven forbid real sports, there are a lot of instances where a sport will be so popular that the only way to see it is through something like, and it's not like pay-per-view because as long as you have cable and electricity and all that other shit, you can watch the Super Bowl, you can watch the World Cup, you can watch, I don't know, Wimbledon or like the tennis Super Bowl, the basketball one, the baseball one, the World Series. But I'm trying to think. If you look at like some things that have not been or things that have been pay-per-view, they have been things like UFC has been largely pay-per-view in the past. And my whole stance on it is like, if you want to have like a healthy like ecosystem for the tournament scene, you have your tier 1 league, your tier 2 team, you have like your little path to pro or whatever, you have like your majors, your World Cup, and your minor leagues or whatever, in any sport, or not sport, but any like video game thing. You can look at, you can't say look at, but like you have to figure out like where the league is getting all of their money for tournament winnings. because I mean, okay, so all that just to say, I mean, it's kind of stupid, but more or less of it is, from what I understand, the value of like an average football fan is like way higher than the value of an average video game fan of a game that has a tournament, right? Average football fan, they're probably going to spend some sort of money on some sort of merch for their favorite football team. Where if you look at your favorite video game tournament and you look at the average fan of that, the most you probably get out of them is like maybe they buy the game for the whole like lifespan of the tournament, or the scene, the tournament scene, and that's mostly it. Maybe they'll buy a couple cosmetics here and there if they want to support their favorite esports team. You know, a lot of FPS games have like team skins or something like that. Sure, great, fine, whatever. But for the most part, video game fans do not want to spend money on like watching a tournament. They just don't. They just don't have the money. You know, average football fan, it could be literally like from all age ranges, and they are still willing to spend money on to see their favorite thing. Average video game fan, let's be honest, it's still like kind of, you know, age range is lower, kind of younger. Young people don't got a lot of money. Whatever little bit they do, they got a nickel and dime it. So the tournament organizers need to figure out other ways to monetize the tournament. So one of them is, you know, pay-per-view. You know, it sucks, but it is what it is. But I mean, let me just hear. I mean, I'm just ranting in the first minute. Let me hear what Brian says.
For the fact that, you know, the esports division should never try to charge for anything or make a profit, but to specifically charge $40 for pay-per-view for the World Finals, the culmination of a global tour built on the backs of getting qualifiers from all parts of the world, syncing up with these local communities, oftentimes in regions where $40 might be the difference between, you know, it could cost almost as much. I saw reports from some people saying that $40 in certain parts is like 10% of your monthly salary. Certain parts of the world that have players going to Capcom Cup.
$40 can be 10% of your monthly salary. Maybe.
Cannot afford to watch Capcom Cup. Therefore, it just reduces the amount of audience who can watch it, reduces the hype, and could potentially harm this event. And
I mean, yeah, but if $40 is like a break the bank type of situation, you should like really consider whether or not like you should even be engaging in that hobby in the first place if it's going to cost you like a quote unquote an arm and a leg.
The excitement into Capcom Cup, we've seen a number of important figures in the community say how they're so disappointed. They're taking a step back from participating and you know, producing their own content and being involved with the community. Massively unpopular decision across the board. Last night, I originally made a rule for myself that I want to put my phone on top of my dresser when I go to bed. This has been kind of like part of my new year, new me resolution a little bit. I broke my rule last night. I was watching a YouTube video from Stand Up Maths. It was a nerdy video, and I was engrossed in it, and I took it to bed with me, all right? I laid in bed, I was watching the video, and so I decided, well, I already went this far, I might as well open up Twitter. And I see Nakayama tweet this. I'm really torn over this rejected concept number 5, the whole gang assembled vibe. With the last time's winner JP leading the pack is great, huh? The dev team is a completely separate unit from the esports division, so we're only handling the main art and merch illustrations. I want this one turned into merch too. Please, please, eCapson. Art by Fukumori-kun. If you don't know why this is interesting, this is Nakayama. Here is a photo of him. This is Matsumoto on the right, Nakayama on the left. And you might be wondering, why do I care about either of these people? Why do I care about this tweet? Well, this is the director and the lead producer of Street Fighter 6. If you are familiar with these guys' faces, you might remember them from the end of Street Fighter 5 when they took over the reins after Ono moved on to other projects, and they really steered the ship in the final years of Street Fighter 5 with increased developer communication, Championship Edition, and the last year of DLC, which had a lot of positive reception, and including putting out interesting characters like Rose and Dan and Oro, right? That was these guys. These guys were leading the ship for Street Fighter 5, and then, of course, Street Fighter 6 as well. So we have the director of Street Fighter 6 tweeting about his involvement with the esports. The guy's vague posting here. I'm in bed, and I see him mention the dev team is a completely separate unit from the esports division.
Yeah.
Amongst the
I mean, he's kind of throwing them under the bus, more or less.
the most heat and criticism that Capcom has received in the Street Fighter world in forever, in years. You know, they've been on a hot streak with Street Fighter 6. Everyone is tearing them a new one in regards to the monetization for this pay-per-view for Capcom Cup. He decides to say, hey, by the way, I really like this art. I hope the esports division, which, just remember, we're not part of the esports division. I lead the dev team. The esports division and the dev team are totally separate teams, so I can't make them put this as merch for the esports. I hope they make this into merch because I want to buy it. Wow. Obviously, I see this in bed and I'm like, dude, he's vague posting. He wants someone to ask him about this or to bring this up. He is about to spill the beans. It's on the tip of his tongue. I was like, what is happening here? And so I shot the tweet. I was in bed here. I was about to go to bed. I'm laying sideways. I gave him the tweet. I said here, doesn't it seem strange that the esports division and dev team seem so entirely disconnected? Perhaps different monetization strategies could have resulted with collaboration rather than just charging such a high price for streaming Capcom Cup. And I got the reply. Right away. And he started to spill the beans. It may sound strange, but it's true. Revenue targets and assigned tasks differ fundamentally by department. Even the development team was surprised by this announcement.
Isn't there like an issue right now with Street Fighter that the players are like bitch moan complaining that there's not enough like skins to buy in the game? So whenever I hear revenue targets with the current climate of there's not enough good skins to buy or whatever, it's like you made this problem yourself. So when we talk about revenue targets, it's like I'm hearing like a bunch of bullshit, if anything. You guys missed your revenue targets because you didn't sell any skins, which is the only thing I hear like people bitch moan complaining about for Street Fighter. So it's a completely manufactured, fabricated problem.
At least Matsumoto and I were shocked at the venue. That said, since this matter occurred within the same company, we are currently discussing it. We apologize for any concern this may have caused. This is the producer and the lead producer and director of Street Fighter 6 saying that they were shocked by the announcement from the Capcom esports division regarding the World Tour Finals for the game that they led the creation of, and saying that it caught them by surprise. And he is publicly admitting this to a reply to my tweet, prodding him for more information from him vague posting about how he hopes the esports team makes this picture into merch. I was like, what's happening? I mean, this was a shot in the dark. I was like, he's bringing up the topic. I might as well prod him for more information. I could not believe that he is admitting Capcom is a billion-dollar company, and Nakayama, you know, he has a big position as the director of Street Fighter 6, and he's talking about the lack of communication here between departments and issues with these departments working in silos, even though you would assume that these two departments would be completely interconnected.
Yeah.
Considering the esports division is for the Street Fighter 6 game. They don't have any other esport titles. Capcom has 0 other titles in esports. I mean, Capcom Cup is titled that because, you know, back in the day, they actually had Marvel vs. Capcom 3 as a part of it. They've even had initiatives with Street Fighter.
I mean, but like that's not our problem. right? That's like their problem. If Capcom wants to have more esports titles, make more esports games. I mean, they're kind of trying to mess around with it in like Monster Hunter, but like not really, but kind of, but not really. um like I'm trying to think. You can't I'm trying to think of all the Capcom titles cuz like Monster Hunter, Devil May Cry, Street Fighter, what else? Capcom games. Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, yeah. The Dead Rising, Onimusha, okay, Dino Crisis, Street Fighter, DMC. Yeah, you guys just are simply. I mean, you guys had Marvel versus Capcom. You had SNK versus Capcom. You had like a decent foothold in like fighting games. I mean, Street Fighter, MVC. You guys kind of like. How many years has it been since MVCI or whatever? And like that one was like largely unpopular compared to like Marvel 2 or Marvel 3. I mean, what do you want? You want more esports like presence, but you don't want to make esports games? What am I like listening to?
Across Tekken, and Capcom Cup has alliteration, but essentially Capcom's esports is Capcom Cup and Street Fighter League. It's all Street Fighter, and it's their game. So you would assume that there would be intense collaboration between these departments. He even mentions here, if I get scolded at work, I will delete the above comment. What? Yeah, I think Nakayama and Matsumoto, they saw this announcement, and
I mean, you could delete whatever you want, but it was still there.
This makes a lot of sense to me. Because my perspective, and I've done several videos in the podcast now about the Capcom Cup pay-per-view. The only way I could rationalize how this came to be was this was done by some suits in charge that are completely disconnected from the community.
Probably.
And Nakayama and Matsumoto have been at all the Capcom Cups. They've been at EVOs. Like, they've been involved in the community. And I actually got to have a little bit of a conversation with them at the end of Street Fighter V at that final Capcom Cup. They're very down to earth, and they're producers and directors that like actually are involved in the community. I mean, Nakayama is actually like retweeting fan art all the time, and he's very vocal and forward facing with the community. So it seemed completely out of touch to me for them to not understand that this would be an incredibly unpopular move and potentially alienate a lot of fans, and that the money that they could maybe make, I don't even think it would make that much money, would not be worth how much this would hurt the legacy of the event. It really,
I mean, if they go through with it, we're gonna see, right? Like how much well, I don't know, probably maybe we won't. Probably we won't. But Counter-Strike has tried to do pay-per-view. Valorant probably. I don't know if Valorant has tried to do it. League of Legends, Dota, a lot of the Fortnite possibly. I think all of these games ideally would like to engage in a pay-per-view model, but it's simply a matter of, is the game popular enough, and does their audience have enough excess money to do that? Also, you can't really do pay-per-view with like low popularity games, right? Because you just, number one, you don't have the people enough like a hype around the game, and from that, it's only going to be like a, I don't know, like a 1 to 10 or 1 to 15 ratio of like people that actually like engage with the pay-per-view, like actually pay for it. So I mean, just look at like what other big esports titles are doing. If they're not doing pay-per-view, what chance do you think you have with the pay-per-view model? I mean, we'll see if they actually go through with it, or if it's like 100% happening, whatever. But I don't know. I think Counter-Strike's pretty damn popular. Fortnite's pretty damn popular. League's pretty dang popular. None of them are doing pay-per-view, dude. I think. I mean, ideally, like for them, they would like to. But I mean, because all of those games are all like free to play, and there's gonna be some percentage of people that like still engage with the pay per view, but it's again, it's gonna like they're probably gonna be like the whales, the people that have like excess money. I mean, obviously, if you got enough money for like all these goddamn skins, what's $40 another skin?
It seemed like something they would understand. So to me, I had assumed that maybe they got overwritten, right? Like someone higher up said, no, we're doing this and there's nothing you can do about it. But to say that they had no idea that this was going on, it really started to confirm a lot of other theories I had about the issues I've seen with Street Fighter 6 since release, right? So I replied, we appreciate the transparency. Street Fighter fans want CPT to be successful and want to support. Many of us who are able to would be willing to spend money on DLC, cosmetics, and merch. We want Capcom Cup Finals to be a big event for everyone around the world to enjoy. So right, so the main thing here is like, we have money. Like, not everyone is in the same financial position. Many of us who are able to would be willing to spend money on DLC, cosmetics, and merch. We want Capcom Cup Finals to be a big event for everyone around the world to enjoy. So right.
They want it to be a big event for everyone. Wait, no, this Brian's tweeting right here. We want Capcom Cup Finals to be a big event for everyone around the world to enjoy. Yes, but when Brian says it, he means like literally everyone around the world. If that little corporate team were to say this for like the Capcom Twitter account or something, what they would have to like put in small fine print, provided you have money. That's what they want to like add on.
So the main thing here is like, we have money. Like, not everyone is in the same financial position, and the big part of this was no regional pricing. Like I said, if you take this to Brazil, Chile, those are large Street Fighter communities. Not everyone can afford to watch it. I feel like it's almost cruel to have CPT qualifiers via the World Warrior that leverages local TOs and local organizations and communities to pull a representative and throw them to Japan, and then price out that region's fans and supporters from even being able to watch. To me, I think that's like, it's just mean. Like, it's a little cruel to me. I don't know. Something about that, like, I'm all for monetization. I get being business minded. I'm not against charging for things, but this didn't feel right. Like, this just did not feel right to me. Especially for Capcom Cup. Street Fighter League, whatever. Do whatever you want. I don't know. I don't really care about Street Fighter League like that. But for Capcom Cup itself, it's a global event to celebrate Street Fighter. I don't think this works out. But a lot of us would be willing to spend money on things. And those who are in a better financial position would be willing to support financially Capcom Cup. For sure. But like, make it so that people who have the means to can help support and not punish those who can't. Right? It's one of those things. So that's why I wanted to bring up that point, because I feel like we are lacking in that department. Like, it's this all or nothing. Give us money for something that used to be free, rather than giving us ways to support and feel good about supporting something that we enjoy. And Nakayama actually responded about this too. For example, the initiatives we implemented in the previous title. That was a proposal from the development team. It was tough but fun. Since then, the organization has grown significantly and various departments have been established. My main responsibilities now are improving the game content, enhancing the quality of merchandise and collaborations, and working on movies and video projects. I'll keep discussing ways to improve things, even just a little, with other departments. And we developers truly cherish every single person who plays our games. Thank you, always. So he also mentions here like how basically we used to do this, and this is true. They used to do a lot of things regarding initiatives with Street Fighter V with the development team in order to have monetization, right? ZK.
So what is happening? Then the next question would be, what has been happening at Capcom that sparked this change? That's my next question.
Here even confirms, was there no discussion in reviving the CPT costumes stages that can support Capcom Street Fighter 6 like it did in the past?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. That was interesting, wasn't it? We used to do this. We used to produce, or the Street Fighter 5 and the developers used to produce content via DLC to support the Capcom Pro Tour. This used to be something that was done. And this is what I've been scratching my head with. Street Fighter 6, for some reason, is not a live service game. it had such a fantastic start, and for years now, I mean, from the
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Street Fighter is you pay for the game, you get a feature complete game for the most part. I mean, yeah, there's like cosmetics and shit there still. I can't remember. Just does Street Fighter make you pay for like the new characters that come out? I probably right. Um, so you gotta pay for the game. You gotta pay for skins in the game. So already they're getting like the best of both worlds. Any other type of game that's like live service, like would be like, just like like clawing at the fact that they like Street Fighter can get away with uh charging character or players full price for a game on top of charging like extra money for skins. I don't know if what do you call it? If Capcom or not Capcom. I don't know if Street Fighter has like the whole daily, weekly challenges thing to engage in. I don't know if they have a battle pass. I don't think so, right?
beginning, I was like, where are the DLC characters? Just the slow rate of DLC characters. Where are the costumes? And so many fanboys would be like, you're a bitch and complaining, dude. Live service battle passes have rotted your minds. No, man. No, there's clearly been a problem. This, to me, has vindicated so many things I've talked about Street Fighter 6. So many people are like, give them time. No, you're not happy with the current product. You're just an impatient, brain-rotted gamer. No, we used to have CPT, DLC, cosmetics, and stages released every year for the Capcom Pro Tour. Street Fighter 5 and the CPT were interconnected in a way that I think players who did not stick around or were not present in the FGC during the Street Fighter 5 era cannot understand. They were united. There was no separating these two entities. The Capcom Pro
Street Fighter 5. No, I'm thinking 4. What was the reception for 5? I think wasn't it either 4 or 5, one of them, like it divided the whole Street Fighter crowd. I literally forgot cuz I didn't play Street Fighter. Like I think I played like Third Strike or whatever.
Tour and Street Fighter 5 coexisted. Even now, we see further evidence of this separation of departments. The content updates for the new season of the balance for Street Fighter 6 doesn't even coincide with the CPT. This year, our first two CPT events were on the last season's balance patch. That is unheard of. In Street Fighter 5, when Capcom Cup concluded, that night, the next season balance update and next characters released. Sometimes too early. There were some goofs, right? I remember Capcom Cup 2018, Kage and the balance patch accidentally went live literally during the grand finals of Capcom Cup, so people were looking at their phones to see the Kage videos. But it was 100% locked in step with the Capcom Pro Tour, the events, and the actual DLC content updates. It was one and the same. They were not separated. They were integrated completely. And we even see that at the way they announced characters. Characters were announced at the CPT tournaments. It was all part of this whole esports ecosystem that kept people engaged and put content out. And the thing about these DLC packs is this actually went to supporting the Capcom Pro Tour. They produced content to sell to the consumers so that you gave them a little bit of threw them a bone for their money. People would buy it. Some people would actually enjoy the stages and the costumes that they released. And some people bought it simply because it was supporting the Capcom Pro Tour.
Yeah, I mean, why'd they stop that? Why don't they just do that again? $6 each for a skin? I mean, new captain stage, new CPT stage, $10 for a stage. Premier Pass. So $20 includes all of the above plus 5 new color for all 45 characters. Or new color for all. Bro, that's some Halo fucking bullshit. Like charging people for colors, that's bullshit. 5 exclusive titles? What the fuck? Who gives a shit? 2 exclusive fighter profile themes? What the fuck? A bonus of 10k fight money. The hell's fight money? Jesus. we gotta get money out of all that, bro. Like, either way, it's like you either pay for pay-per-view or you pay money for like stuff to get that can also support the thing. So it's either way, they want you to pay money still. So it's like the average value, like I said before, is of a video game fan in relevance to like the tournament scene is just so low to the point where they have to either make products to sell or endure the pay-per-view. Like, Jesus Christ. Does nobody know how to like fucking like save money for like and like budget for certain things that they want to do? Like, isn't Street Fighter 6 like one of the most popular Street Fighters to date with how many units it sold? They couldn't take some of that money and just budget it for CPT. It's like, oh, we gotta get more money, gotta get new money, more money. Like, what the hell?
Did not care for a lot of these DLCs. Some of them were actually pretty good. I remember like the G costume was pretty good. None of these I really care for, but I knew that I was putting my money to support the Capcom Pro Tour, and I felt good about doing that, right? And
Like, isn't there like a general fund or like a tournament fund bank account where it's like, okay, we want to do this thing, we want to do that thing, we want to do this thing. So now that we sold all these units, now we could do those things. But it's like, no, that's not how it goes. Up until this point in time, all the extra money goes into my pocket, and all those extra events that generate hype that the community loved, yeah, that we're still gonna put them on, but we're gonna charge extra money for them. Okay.
I know a lot of people had that extra sense of goodwill when purchasing the DLC because a portion of those proceeds went to supporting the Pro Tour. And in fact, there was even more integration with the community and the DLC. We even had the Capcom Cup champions would get DLC.
I mean, functionally, look at the function. You pay for some of these things. Well, and honestly, it's only going to be like people that have like whale type, like fit the whale profile, that are actually going to like buy this shit. So you have like some percentage of people that spend this, some percentage on that, some percentage on that. And, you know, everybody that spends money here kind of supports the event being free to allow everybody else that doesn't pay to watch and enjoy the thing. Whereas it's still happening, but instead of you getting products for your money, you simply just get to see it a week early. You know, again, this is an instance. It's the same thing as pre-ordering a game. You pre-order the game, you get to play the game 3 days early. You pre-order the CPT finals, you see the finals a week early. It'll come out to everybody else, but that's all it is. That's the function of it.
Costumes put into the game. I mean, Mena RD literally put himself into the game after he won Capcom Cup 2017. So maybe there are some benefits to separating the development and esports division a little bit. Like maybe we don't have to be that close, okay? But like it goes to show that these it used to be one and the same. Okay? Mm-hmm. Mena RD won Capcom Cup and he's literally in Street Fighter 5 forever. And I'm just teasing. I think this is fucking badass. A lot of people were hating on this costume. Listen, if I won Capcom Cup, y'all would have to hold that. However, this doesn't exist anymore. There's no Capcom Cup champion costumes. They have colors, but I think they're only limited time events, and they come from when you win the vote in the battle hub for predicting the winner. They don't really give them a new costume. Like, there's just this integration is gone. You know, if you looked at the numbers, here is news from Capcom USA 2016, talking about the Capcom Pro Tour 2016 DLC. It returned at a discount. Here's some numbers that Capcom put out. With a baseline prize pool of $250,000 for Capcom Cup 2016, CPT 2016 DLC sales contributed over $170,000 bringing the total prize pool for Capcom Cup 2016 to over 400,000. They made actual money to support the prize pools for Capcom Cup via these DLC initiatives. And now they're completely separate entities, which helps to explain why we see all of these things out of sync. The character announcement trailers never happen at the CPT events, right? The DLC never incorporates any initiatives with the Capcom Pro Tour. There's no initiatives to have a Capcom Pro Tour champion costume in the game. There's no initiatives to do some kind of fundraising with the community to help fund the prize pool. Nothing. There's no integration. And with this number, for the 2016 DLC sales, they raised over 170,000. That's nothing to scoff at, but we have a $1 million prize pool, right? So
Yeah.
It's significant, but obviously this doesn't cover the cost of the tours. There were reports saying that I think the esports division is losing like $7 million a year.
Yeah.
So this obviously would not make up
That's not a drop in the bucket.
$7 million.
Going back to what I said before, the average value that you can extract from a video game fan of a tournament is extremely, extremely low.
It couldn't, right? And Street Fighter V for its time was doing pretty good on the Steam charts, right? At that
Really? Or was Street Fighter more like a console-driven game? Not exclusive, but like driven. Like more people played 5 on, what do you call it? On console than like computer. Because this is like, bro, this is like horrible numbers, period.
time it peaked at 13,000 concurrent players, and it fell off after that, but it maintained a steady player base for its entire life on PC. And to be
Yeah, that's like absolutely embarrassing though.
fair, at this time especially, a large portion of the player base was on PlayStation. Most of the player base was on PlayStation, right? So that's something to really keep in mind. There was cross-play. Vast majority of the FGC and the culture at this time was very heavily focused on the PlayStation console, so these numbers do not give...
True. I mean, he brings up a good point. I mean, what is this, 2016 or whatever? I mean, that was probably the last console generation to go from like a high price to a low price, whereas this console generation and upcoming ones will now go from X price to, over the next 5 years, the price of the console will increase. All right. So maybe that will cue a lot of people to start thinking about getting a computer, jump on Steam, fuck all these expensive ass consoles. I'm just going to build a computer. It's going to stay relevant for a while.
The full picture. But they raised $170,000 in DLC sales at this time with these player counts for Street Fighter V. That is a rounding error for the numbers we have for Street Fighter 6. The absolute peak of Street Fighter V does not even come close to the lowest low of Street Fighter 6 in terms of player count. Street Fighter 6, by all metrics, you can see the blue line, blows Street Fighter 5 out of the water.
Yeah.
You're telling me they made $170,000 for selling mediocre cosmetics for the Capcom Pro Tour in 2016 for Street Fighter 5, and you did not think to do something with what's going on over here? You didn't think that potentially you can monetize your audience in a different way to capitalize on the excitement for your new game and the excitement for the Capcom Pro Tour, which featured a $1 million prize pool? You don't think that there was a lot of goodwill in the community and that people were not going to be begging to give you their money? Look at the difference here. This makes no sense to me.
Yeah, that's a flat line, and this is a spiky line that's like massively, that's like 5 times more bigger than this green line.
170,000 here at 13,000 players on release. Release here, 70,000 players. Once again, not including console, not including all the other platforms. This is just PC. I had been bringing up this point for so long that Capcom is wasting their opportunity by not prioritizing their DLC of cosmetics, costumes for the characters, increasing the throughput of content into the game, and these integrations with the Capcom Pro Tour.
What? prioritizing what skins and cosmetics. I mean, for the most part, the gameplay of Street Fighter doesn't really change, right? So in order to like constantly like get value out of the customer, like they gotta give them some shit to buy, right? So like, how else are you gonna extract money? Like, obviously, like you can put in like characters and I guess stages. I guess that's a thing. Like Jesus. Um, what else do you want them to prioritize? Isn't the performance pretty good?
Sure. And I think I think Nakayama agrees. I think he's finally speaking up at this point. Now we finally see that due to the growth of Capcom, the esports and the Street Fighter 6 development team have grown completely separate. They were integrated during the Street Fighter 5 era, and Street Fighter 5, for all its faults, I think the greatest thing Street Fighter 5 did was the Capcom Pro Tour. The Capcom Pro Tour was executed incredibly well. The integration with the game, the developers, the community, the tour, it was all lock in step, and we've lost that. The Capcom Pro Tour has been shaky since its inception for Street Fighter 6. Obviously, it was trying to get back to offline post-COVID, but there was a lot of issues, and there has been a lot of issues. And I think this just proves that there is a different department leading this who is not connected to the community like we had with Nakayama and the Street Fighter producer. So he says here, I might get scolded if I comment too much on that matter, so I'll just act normal. I'm sleepy. I wonder if that means he was drunk. Do you think he was drunk posting? Wait, I just put this together. I don't know what time it was in Japan. I wonder if he was getting some itchy Twitter fingers off that Jamie herbal drink. Yeah, was he on drink level 5? I actually did not piece that together. Anyways, I really hope Nakayama survives the corporate world. I am shocked at how much of the laundry he aired here. This is really surprising to get this kind of an inside look. So yeah, did I say I had an inside scoop? Sorry, it wasn't me. I mean, I didn't have the inside scoop. It was aired publicly, but I am just so surprised at this chain of events that, I tweeted out one message to Nakayama, and he gave us such a view behind the curtain to kind of explain what's going on. And I think it really lines up with everything we've seen since Street Fighter 6's release, and why it's felt a little off, or it felt like a wasted opportunity for how much we could have potentially capitalized on this release to grow the competitive scene and make these things more sustainable. So anyways, that's all we got for this. They still have not walked.
That is an ungodly amount of like hitboxes, fight sticks, whatever. Holy shit. That's insane. I'm just looking at this right now.
Back the pay-per-view decision, but it sounds like there's some internal conversations going on, so we will have to wait and see if there's any developments from this. Hopefully Nakayama survives this instance in his corporate career. I really appreciate the fact that he was very candid with us and shined a light into how things are operating to help us make sense of the situation, because it's a very disappointing time for the community, and a lot of people who have been really putting a lot of work out of their own passion in supporting the cursory analysis and information. People like Capcom and Inkross have both reported that they are taking a break from doing their stats and reporting on the competitive scene. It's just like a really disheartening time right now, and hopefully with Nakayama's support we can see some kind of change in a better direction. Anyways, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I don't know, this is really interesting. Okay, peace.
All right, that was cool. Moral of the story is yeah, the larger gaming community does not like pay-per-view. This is not a surprise to anybody. I mean, you could look at other sporting events that try to do pay-per-view. Boxing does pay-per-view. That's like a normalized thing. I mean, I imagine if you asked boxing or UFC or whatever like that community on whether or not pay-per-view is good or bad, I mean, you're probably going to get a different result, right? Um, I don't know. Me personally, I mean, I'm just an extremely casual fan, so this doesn't really affect me. I wasn't going to pay anyway. Furthering my point of the average uh, value of a video game fan is like close to, if not zero, in terms of uh trying to extract money from them for like tournament things. So uh yeah, I mean, overall cool video. Kind of revealing. I didn't know they were like those little departments were like growing separated or whatever. So that was news. But yeah, that's it for me. I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, later.